The evening started out like any other. We had been invited to a dinner with some of her friends, people I didn't know very well but had met once or twice before. I dressed neatly, put on my best smile, and told myself it would just be a pleasant evening of small talk and good food. But deep down, I had this uneasy feeling that something was bound to go wrong. When we arrived, everyone greeted her warmly. She had a way of charming people, laughing loudly, and being the center of attention. I stood quietly by her side, smiling when introduced, shaking hands, and trying to blend into the background. For the first hour, everything went smoothly, and I thought maybe I was overthinking things. But then the wine kept flowing. She always became bolder after a few glasses, and tonight was no different. She started telling stories about our relationship, private stories, ones I never wanted anyone else to hear. At first, it was small things, like how I was forgetful about chores or how I snored too loudly. Everyone laughed, and I forced a smile, though my cheeks burned with embarrassment. The jokes didn't stop there. She started exaggerating, making me sound like some incompetent fool. "He can't even fix a light bulb without calling my dad for help," she said, laughing so hard that tears filled her eyes. Her friends roared with laughter, and I felt the sting of humiliation. I tried to laugh it off, but inside, I was crumbling. I whispered to her to tone it down, hoping she'd take the hint. Instead, she smirked and said loudly, "Oh, don't mind him. He's sensitive. He always takes things too seriously." The whole table laughed again, and my heart sank further. As the night went on, the jokes turned sharper. She mocked the way I dressed, the way I ate, even the way I spoke. Each jab cut deeper, and I realized she wasn't just being playful. She was tearing me down to build herself up. I caught a few pitying glances from people at the table, which made it worse. I clenched my fists under the table, struggling to stay calm. I didn't want to cause a scene, but I also didn't want to sit there being ridiculed any longer. The woman I had loved, the one I had trusted, was turning me into a punchline. Finally, she crossed the line. She brought up an old mistake I had confided in her, something deeply personal, something I never wanted the world to know. And she said it with a grin, as though my pain was just another joke to keep the laughter going. In that moment, I felt something inside me snap. I looked at her, at the smug smile on her face, and realized I couldn't do this anymore. I couldn't stay with someone who thrived on my humiliation, who used my vulnerabilities as entertainment. I pushed my chair back, the sound loud enough to quiet the table. Everyone turned to look at me. My chest tightened, but I stood tall. Without saying a word, I grabbed my jacket and walked out of the restaurant. I didn't care about the stares or the silence I left behind. I didn't care if she chased after me or not. For the first time in years, I felt a strange sense of freedom, even as my heart ached. When I reached my car, I sat for a moment, staring at the steering wheel, my hands trembling. Part of me hoped she would come out, apologize, beg me to stay. But another part of me knew that if she did, I couldn't go back. Minutes passed, and she never came. That silence told me everything I needed to know. I started the engine and drove away, leaving not just the restaurant behind, but her, too. On the drive home, memories of our relationship flashed through my mind. The good moments, the love we once shared, and all the times I had overlooked her cruelty. Tonight made it clear, she had gone too far, and I had finally reached my limit. By the time I pulled into my driveway, my decision was final. That was the last dinner, the last insult, the last time she would ever laugh at my expense. I had walked out, and this time, I was never going back.